for. So we know that classes come and go, but I know that we have students from Bethel joining us today. Hi, my name is Christy Buffington, and I work at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, Trothyeta campus, and I'll be helping host, but your real host is Emily Sousa. Emily, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Emily Sousa, and I also work here at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, Trothyeta campus, in the International Arctic Research Center. Um, and so I'm helping to host this event today. I'll also be keeping an eye on the chat. My background is also in landscapes and mapping and all of that stuff. So especially geology students, if you got questions about that, happy to field any questions for you. We'll make sure that you have contact information for all of us after this too. Um, but yeah, so feel free to write in the chat if anybody has any questions there, or we can ask them out loud, and we'll explain more about how the day will go in just a few, but I'll turn it back over to you, Christy.
Great. Thanks so much, Emily. And we also have Ed Graham. Ed Graham works with me over at Geographic Information Network of Alaska. And we are all part of this project, Arctic and Earth STEM Integrating Globe and NASA. And I see that one of our co-PIs, Katie Spellman, Dr. Katie Spellman just joined. And then also faculty member on this project, Santa Roach, came as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to have brief introductions, and then Polly, Miss Bass, have your students or you introduce Emmeline from Shishmaref and Nome as well. And then we'll turn it over to our speakers today. We have Captain David Mattox, and we have a student who already has an associate's in firefighting, and then also is getting a bachelor's degree. And you'll have to correct me, Olivia, but I did hear Homeland Security and something else in there. So we'll have to have you share again. And I'm just really grateful that everybody could make it today. So let's do some super quick intros. Ed, I mentioned you, and I know that you know the folks in Tok who were waiting to come, but go ahead and do a very quick introduction, and then we'll go to Dr. Spellman and then also Santa Roach as well.
Hello. My name is Ed Graham. I'm a geospatial scientist undergrad student from Kennesaw State University, and I'm currently working in the GINA office in the GI at University of Alaska Fairbanks with Christy.
Great. Thanks, Ed. Dr. Spellman?
I'm Katie. I'm a scientist at the university, and I study the way that plants come back after fire. So these guys deal with the burn itself, but I study plants after they're coming back.
And you care about geology too. The students in Bethel are geology in their geology class. Santa?
Adet Yehud. Hello, everyone. Santa Hamilton Roach Set Isret. My name is Santa, and I live in Shagluk, lower end of the Athabascan region. I'm a former Globe student and a former Globe teacher, K through third grade, just depended on the year. But now I work at the University of Alaska Fairbanks in the Rural Development Program. So excited to support the project and work of this crew. Good to see you guys.
Awesome, thank you. And now we have our two classes that are here today. So Emmeline, are you able to unmute and speak?
Hi, Christy. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thanks for coming. Do you have students with you as well?
Yeah, I do have a mixed group of students.
Great. And it looks like your students who are joining are also in high school, right?
Yeah, all high school from mix of 9, 10th, and 12.
And what community are you coming from?
We are from Shishmaref.
Wonderful. So the Shishmaref students, hello everyone. And you can now meet the students from Bethel. Miss Bass, are you able to speak?
Yes, yes. Okay. Hi there. Let's see. You want to introduce yourself? Okay. I guess we're a little shy. I'm sorry. But anybody want to introduce themselves? Okay. All righty. Well, my name is Polly and Bass. I'm here in Bethel, science teacher, and Bethel, Alaska, on the Kuskokwim River, mighty Kuskokwim. And we have over here we have Robbie, we have Isaac, Adrian, Amos, we have Brandon, David in the back here. David, can you see things? Feel free to move or move the books if you need to. Okay, and we have Adrian Moses right here, and then we have Lana and Hannah, sisters, and we also have Haley. Here. Okay. Why do you call it my name? My last name. Oh, I'm sorry. I know a few last names, so I use them. Sorry. Yeah, my apologies. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're glad to be here. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And I heard that at least one of your students might be interested in a career in wildland firefighting. So these are the people to ask. We have Captain David Mattox here and Olivia Jaeger here. So Captain David Mattox, you know, he spent a few years teaching firefighting in the villages, in such as in Arctic Northwest Borough and in Dillingham. And also his passion is firefighting and emergency medical services. He grew up in Southern California, did his undergraduate degree at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, and then went into the U.S. Army as an officer. And then after being in the Army, Captain Mattox transitioned to a fire career, and he started by volunteering. So that's a way that any of us really could get into this career, is to start with volunteering. He started volunteering at the North Star Volunteer Fire Department, and meanwhile was earning a master's degree in security and disaster management here at University of Alaska Fairbanks. He also got an associate's in fire science, and that's what Olivia already has earned as well. And then eventually filled a staff role. So there's just so many career paths in wildland firefighting and in urban firefighting as well. We do have one more person who joined. That's Joy Hamilton. Hi, Joy. If you have a minute to introduce yourself, and are you with students?
No, I don't have students today. We're actually, we had our Thanksgiving feast today. So we had an early dismissal, and there's a lot of reasons for that. So anyway, I have no students with me.
Well, this is recorded, and if you want to share this with your students in Shagaluk, please do so. All right, so that gets us, Captain Mattox, back to you. I know that you've had a wonderful, more than 20 years. You've got 4 kids, more than 20 years married is what your bio says, which is awesome. You know about being part of a family, and that's so important to all of these folks across all the people joining on Zoom. Joy and Santa, they're from the same family too. So at any rate, I wanted to turn it over to you and give a little introduction. If any students have questions, you can ask in the chat. You can also ask Emily, who's our host today. And then, at any point, people can stop and share their questions, but we're really just so thankful that you and also Olivia can make it today.
Thank you. I think I'll start off real quick by elaborating on why I'm over here at the University Fire Department and how I got in this career. I saw one of the questions that you posted to think about was, why did I choose this career? And it kind of leads into the stuff that you were talking about with family. And that is, in the military, I had a chance to go to Iraq and Afghanistan a couple of times and work on nation building along with the warfighting stuff. And the stuff I really enjoyed doing was the nation building, going into a village in Iraq and building schools and bringing clean water and stuff like that to the village. And when I moved to Alaska, my wife started firefighting with the volunteer fire department as just a hobby. And she said, hey, you would love this. And so I came back from one of my deployments and I started volunteering at the fire department. And it was just amazing, the family knit environment of the fire department, the people that you work with on these emergency scenes. I mean, they're essentially your family. You have an officer like a captain, and that's like your parent and teaching you and taking care of you. And then the firefighters are all working together to solve different problems of emergencies. They call us firefighters, but really our job entails so many different things. Like you alluded to the fact that there's wildland firefighting, which I'm sure all Alaskans across the state are familiar with the importance of wildland firefighting. And then there's the urban firefighting, which is what most of our fire department does, is the building and the structure firefighting. And then 80% of our calls are EMS calls or medical calls. And we would go to all different kinds of medical calls. Olivia and I just got off shift. We were working for 48 hours. And the number of medical calls that we went on, they range everything from somebody's not feeling well to somebody got hurt to somebody is having seizures, or all those different kinds of calls. And it was just very interesting to work through those problems together with this tight group of crew or family. And so I decided to make it a career, and I left the military to make firefighting my career. And then I found my fire department, the University Fire Department. And this is such a great fire department because it teaches firefighter or young high school graduates to become firefighters and sets them up for a career in the fire service. So we're a lot different than most fire departments across the nation, and we're the only one that does what we do when it comes to hiring high school graduates and allowing them to go to college while they're getting on-the-job training. So we are focused on getting the degrees, and that helps you in a full 20, 30-year career in the fire service, because if you want to be a leader like a fire chief, then you're going to need a degree. And it's nice to be able to get that opportunity to get that degree when you're young and have a job like ours that helps pay for that degree. And at the same time, being able to work and learn to be a firefighter at the lower level. And so that's what our fire department does, is to be a member of our fire department, you have to be a student at the university taking a degree classes. Now, as you mentioned Olivia over there, she's done a fire science, and now she's working on her Homeland Security Emergency Management. But we have some students who are doing engineering. We have some who are doing psychology. I have one who's doing tree science, one who's doing biology, and one's doing marine biology. So the only thing that we ask is that they do a degree in something, so that will help them in their future endeavors. And at the same time, they're working on a shift. Like I said, we just got off of our shift. We work 48 hours on, and then we get 4 days off. Now, while you're on shift, sometimes there's a math class or one of your major classes, and the students come and they go, hey, Captain, I've got English class or math class from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And I'm, okay, well, we let them take our fire pickup trucks to class. And then if we get a call while they're in class, all the teachers accept that those firefighters can leave the class, go to the call, and then come back and catch up on the work afterwards. So it allows the students to go to college full time and getting paid. Now, the pay is enough to cover the cost of college, including staying at dorms and food. Now, if you've got any family members or friends who are firefighters in wildland, we don't pay as much as those folks, the ones who are doing the career ones. We're actually trying to get them into those career jobs. So it is enough to cover all of your college costs, which is phenomenal. Our folks can leave our program with a degree with 2 to 4 years of experience that they can put on their resume, and all the advanced certifications that you would need to have a great career in the fire service. and have your bachelor's degree and then zero college debt. That's kind of the benefit of our program. And it has been just a phenomenal experience for me working with people like Olivia, who watch them grow from high school graduate to a leader in the fire service over their time here. And some of the calls that they respond to and the work that they do is just phenomenal. I'm going to let Olivia talk about herself real quick before I start the video, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so like Captain Mattox was saying, I've already gotten my associate's degree in fire science, and I'm working on my homeland security and emergency management. I think it's awesome. I really love being able to go to college and work full time. It makes it very convenient when I have classes that I'm allowed to go while I'm still working and doing my job. A piece of advice that I give to everyone is pick something, a degree that you're very interested in. College can be very hard if you don't like what you're doing. So if you are in geology class right now and you really like it, then I suggest looking into degrees that will do something with that. I also really like the leadership opportunities that the University Fire Department has given me. I've been here for a little over 2 years and I'm already a student lieutenant. So if we are missing one of our captains, then I have the opportunity to be in charge of the engine. And I've actually, over last summer, I had the opportunity to lead a crew on a fire, which was super cool. And nowhere else in the country can I be this young, going to college and getting that experience. So if you're thinking about firefighting, and even just a little bit, I would highly suggest thinking about the University Fire Department. Even if you aren't thinking about firefighting, sometimes it's worth it to try it and then find out that you don't like firefighting, and then you can say you tried it, and then you know it wasn't for you. So, yeah.
I might add that Olivia is actually on the top of a hiring list for the Department of Defense firefighting. And as soon as they open their hiring, she's going to get hired and leave us. And that's what we're all about, is getting these folks jobs. So I know you guys wanted to talk about science, and fire is definitely related to science. As Olivia said, there's the fire science classes where the students, they learn about why do things burn, what makes them burn more, and then how do you stop that? Because if you're going to fight fires, especially these big wildland fires or the big structure fires, there was that one in Hong Kong this week, unfortunately. And if you're going to fight those kind of fires, you have to understand the science behind it. There's amount of water that you must put on a fire depending on the size and what's burning. And if you don't understand that, then you're not going to be able to get ahead of it and put the fires out. And then on top of that, like I said, our job is also a lot more than just fire. If there's a fuel spill in town, we're the people that you call. If there's down power lines, even if there isn't a fire, we're the ones you call. If there's flooding, we're the ones you call. And so there's all kinds of emergencies that we respond to, and all of it takes a level of not just leadership and understanding how to function as a group, but also the science behind these things. So every firefighter takes a hazmat class, and there's different levels of hazmat class. Every firefighter has to have the basic one so that they understand the different reactions with chemicals. And like myself, most of the officers have taken a hazmat technician class, which is, especially in Fairbanks and Alaska with all the mining, there are so many different hazardous materials that are traveling through our state that at any moment there could be an emergency, and we have to be able to respond to it and not only identify what the chemicals are, the substances that are causing an issue, but how to mitigate those issues. And that's not something you come by easily. You have to take classes for that. And then, of course, the emergency medical stuff. Like I said, 80% of our calls are medical calls. That deals with medications and learning all the reactions of those things. So biology is a huge field for our profession. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and then the wildland firefighting. All of our fire department, our firefighters, we do the wildland that's in and around structures. So especially in Fairbanks where we're at, we are a big city, but the wilderness is right outside our back door. We've got places all around us, 360 degrees, that are filled with forest and woods, and that occasionally do catch on fire, especially in the summertime. That's our big wildland season. And this last year, we responded to a couple of fires caused by lightning strikes. Lightning strikes is probably the #1 cause of wildland fires in Alaska, and everybody's experienced those. So we always have to be ready to fight wildland fires. Now, it's not the same thing as the smoke jumpers. We pay big respect to the smoke jumpers and the hotshot crews that do what they do. But we are doing wildland firefighting in and around the town. And sometimes our fire department does get a tasking to send a group like Olivia and maybe 2 other firefighters out to a place where there's a large wildland firefighting. This last year, the Haystack Fire, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one, but we had 2 or 3 major fires that we sent crews out to help fight those fires. And so if anybody and the students are familiar with the Red Card program, all of our students definitely have the ability to get the Red Card while they're with us. And then, of course, the structured firefighting. I did have that video prepared, and that kind of highlights in visual what we do on a regular basis. If you don't mind, Christy.
All right, let me share it here. And then let me know if you guys can hear the sound okay. Can everybody see that? Okay, let's see if the sound goes.
Yeah, everything we do is pretty much student-led.
I think that it's a really unique opportunity.
When you do come here, it's a huge family. We all have each other's backs, and regardless of what we're doing.
My name is Braden Calloway. I'm a lieutenant with the University Fire Department. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington.
My name is Erin Kitchen, and I'm originally from Eagle River, Alaska.
Javian Munoz, I'm from Anaheim, California.
Mike Moriarty, I'm from Suffield, Connecticut. I've been here about 1.5 years. I found out about this program when I was graduating with my associate's degree. My chief, where I volunteered with back home, he told me about the program at the University Fire Department. I looked into it, and about a month later, I was up in Alaska.
So I chose to come here because I wanted to finish my bachelor's degree, and I wanted to also start building experience in the fire service. And this tied in with being a paid position, just was icing on the cake, and it was a really easy choice to come here and start working and going to school.
Currently I'm studying heavy diesel technician. It's a certification program through CTC. I chose that because while we're here, we're taught how to drive these rigs and how to do the standard fluid checks, but we don't really go much past that. And with every department, pretty much the entire U.S. using diesel fire engines, it's one thing if you can drive them, it's another thing entirely if you can fix them.
I made it up here because I started volunteering over at Chugiak Fire Department down in Chugiak, Alaska. From Chugiak, I was only a junior, so I barely got to really do anything. And then since I've been up here, it's amazing how much you've been able to grow just within a few years. I don't know where I'd be if I hadn't come up here, so.
Yeah, everything we do is pretty much student-led. We pretty much set the pace and tone of the day. We show up, and other than the calls pulling us away, we decide when and where we want to train, what we want to train on.
On the day-to-day, you can learn all about different medical stuff, you can learn all about firefighting, you can learn all about the rigs. It's really up to you about how much you put into it. That's directly proportional to how much you're going to get out of it. Oh, I absolutely love going to UAF and also working here. I think that it's a really unique opportunity to be going to school full-time and at the same time getting so much experience operating as a fire department and as a firefighter in that.
I think one of the biggest things is not only are we full-time students, full-time employees, something that a lot of people, and I didn't even understand until I came up here to work. And as I was working, just amazed at how much responsibility they give us for all the calls. I drive ladders, engines, ambulances, code 3, and that's something that people my age in California would not do, which that's tremendous. I'm only 21 years old and they're giving me the responsibility to drive all these big rigs, code 3, and also lead ALS calls. That blew my mind. There's nowhere else that I know of that as a college student you can do that. It's just the amount of freedom and the amount of responsibility they allow us here. It's incredible, and I'm so thankful that I chose to come here and pursue my career.
Now, full disclosure, that video is a couple of years old. I'm currently in the process of recording a new one with some new students, because every one of those students that's in that video is now working at a major fire department across the nation. There's one of them, Callaway, the diesel technician, is now working at Seattle Fire Department and is one of the lead instructors at their academy. Munoz is working in Washington as well, as Kitchen is down in Tacoma, and Moriarty's in Memphis, Tennessee. And so that's one of the great things about our program is these students come up here, they come from all parts of the country, and then they go and get jobs all across the country. So great opportunities and a great time. Yeah. So I'll talk about our program just a little bit more if you've got those slides for me. Just so it's got some important numbers on there and some dates. And then I'd like to open up the opportunity for Olivia to answer as many questions as possible that the students might have about not just our program, but firefighting and the such. So our fire department, we have 2 hiring periods because we're tied to the university. And again, the key is going to the university and getting that degree in whatever it is you wanted to. There's many degrees that are possible at the university, and we just ask that you be taking 12 credits, which is a full-time student in any of those degree programs. Most of them take fire science, first of all, because fire science is cool. It's all about fire. And then most of them take Homeland Security and Emergency Management because it's about emergency management. But there's plenty of our students who are not taking those programs. They're taking different ones. So because we're tied to the university, we graduate our seniors with the college. So in May is our big graduation. We usually lose about 10 to 15 students every May. So we got to get new firefighters at that time. So we have a hiring that happens in the April to May timeframe, and they'll start with us in August with the beginning of the fall semester. And then there's the December graduates. We usually only have 2 or 3 people graduating in December. This year, I think we're at 7 that are going to be graduating this December. And so we're going to be hiring 7. And that hiring is from November to December, again, for the start in the spring semester in January. So if you are looking after high school, if you'd like to maybe try firefighting, or you're looking for a way to pay for college, or you just want to do something cool while you're going to college and you think firefighting might be something like that, just pay attention to those dates that our applications are due. And then our requirements to be a firefighter with us is you do have to have either a GED or a high school diploma, and then you've got to be over 18. Some people graduate just a little early and are 17. We got to wait till you're 18 to work for us. That doesn't mean don't put an application in, but there may be some time you have to wait until you're 18. You have to have a driver's license, and you have to have a relatively clean record. Now, if you've gotten a parking ticket, that's not a big deal. If you're doing something like reckless driving, well, you're going to be driving fire trucks and ambulances for us. So we're looking for people who have relatively clean driver's records. It doesn't have to be spotless, but pretty good. And then same thing with criminal record. We have to have 2 letters of recommendation. And I always say, get one from your teacher or one of your teachers that you work with in school. And then if you've got a job or you've got a community member that can give you a recommendation, that always looks good. And that's not just for our program. I recommend that for any job that you're applying for. You put a letters of recommendation, and don't always just get teachers. Teachers are great, love them. One of my kids is a teacher here, but it's also nice to see somebody from the community that says, hey, this person actually does more than just school. They contribute to the community, because we're all about community. And then there is a physical fitness test for us. We call it the Candidate Physical Ability Test. And that is basically 10 minutes of doing what firefighters do on a fire scene in a simulated fashion. So there's a stair stepper you got to climb for 3 minutes with 70 pounds on you. 70 pounds can sometimes be pretty heavy. So it does take a little bit of physical fitness. If you're an athlete, I know a lot of folks in Alaska, especially the villages that I've been to, basketball is a big sport, and that's great. That's the kind of stuff that's going to put you in the right conditioning to be a firefighter. And that test is offered in the summertime with our department. So if you get an offer from us to get hired, then you have a couple of opportunities to pass that physical fitness test. And then there's the Firefighter 1 certification. Now, that's offered at the university as part of the CTC, their Community Technical College, and that's offered in July, before the hire date or before the start date. So if you don't have it, most people do not, coming out of high school, then it's just a hey, we're going to give you a job, given that you passed the Firefighter 1 test at the end of the summer. And that's got a 99% pass rate. It's a really good academy that teaches you the basic firefighting stuff. So I highlighted those 2 requirements because those most often come after you've been hired by us. We say, hey, you got to get these 2 done before you start with us, but we're giving you a conditional offer. And then what's required while you're a student with us? Well, you got to take 12 credits. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with credits, but those credits are basically hours that you're going to spend a week in college. So you might have a 3-hour class, a 6-hour class, or you might have 2 3-hour classes that equal 6 hours. The hours are equal to credits. So 12 credits is the minimum for a full-time student in college. And then most students are taking 15 credits. So it's not usually an issue to have 12. And then when you work for us, we put you on a shift, and we have 3 shifts currently, A, B, and C. And when you're on a shift, Olivia's on B shift and I'm on A shift. So I work on A shift for 48 hours and then I take 4 days off. And same thing with Olivia. She work on B shift with the same 14 people for 48 hours and then she takes 4 days off. And so we do require that you come back every 4 days, do your shift for 48 hours and then get your 4 days off. So it is actually a job. And then because we do so many medical calls, we do require that you take the emergency medical technician, and there's 3 different levels. There's the basic, the advanced, and there's paramedic. Now, every firefighter has to be a basic, and there's a class in the fall that most of the beginning firefighters, or what we call rookies, they'll take, and that brings them into the EMS world where they learn the medical stuff. And then usually either the next semester or the next year, they'll take the advanced EMT and they'll get that done. And that's when they start leading medical calls as a medic, which is pretty impressive that, somebody like Olivia, she's 19, 20 years old, and she's leading an ambulance responding to all types of medical emergencies. So that's what that's for. Then there's other firefighting degrees or certifications you can get, advanced certifications. Some of the exciting ones are the tech rescue, like hazmat technician, rope rescue technician, confined space technician. If anybody's working around the mines or any of the North Slope stuff, all of those operations that are working inside or around the oil tanks or the material tanks, they require a team outside to be able to rescue them if there's an emergency, and that's confined space rescue. Well, while you work with us, you have the opportunity to take those technician classes so you can get certified to do that kind of stuff. That's a side opportunity. So that is our department and what it's all about. Yeah, I think I'll open it up for questions and let Olivia talk a little bit.
So if anyone
Bethel, Shishmaref, if you have questions, you're welcome to, we can unmute and just shout them out. And we'll hear them as best as we can, or you're welcome to use the chat as well. So you can put any questions in the chat. I have a companion here with me today.
So I'm looking at the list of questions that were sent, and as I expected, a lot of them have to do with wildland stuff. So I'll throw out some information that may spark more questions. Olivia, did you happen to do any of the wildland medic this year? So there was an opportunity for our students, if they wanted to, on this as an extra job, was to work on the wildland scenes as a wildland medic, and that was paying about $600 a day to go operate an ambulance at those wildland fires in and around Fairbanks. And so it's a great opportunity to get a little extra money and some little extra experience in medical, and you're right there with the wildland folks. If you aren't so privy on the medical stuff, students in the past with us have, of course, gotten their red card. That's available every year. But let's say you wanted to go join a hotshot crew. There's the opportunity to get the different levels of certification like Sawyer, Engine Boss, and those kind of things while you're working with us, because we are tied directly to the Alaska Forestry Department and BLM right here in Fairbanks. So it is pretty easy to get not only the experience and the classes, but all that stuff right here in Fairbanks. So.
I do see, so there's a question, is there a topic in science that I wish I paid more attention to that would make me a better firefighter? I think one that I wish I paid more attention to in high school is probably biology. Like Captain Mattox said, 80% of what we do is emergency medicine, and biology ties into that a lot. And so I think if I paid attention to that a little bit more in high school, I probably would have saved myself a little bit of studying in college. But yeah, just kind of anything that you can learn about the human body can help.
I see the question about what is this job done to change me, and what do I see in the future changed us? Yes, when I started, I came from the Army and I did nothing medical in the Army except for some combat trauma care. And when I got here, having to learn the medical jargon and then how to use the different medications, that, like she said, if I could have done some more biology ahead of time, that would have been great. But the classes do prepare you for it, and so I think I'm better. I hope I'm better. I'm a paramedic now. At doing medical stuff and understanding how to do good first aid and good medical treatment, not only for the ambulance, but for my own family. So what do I see happening in the future? There is some changes with like fire protection, and I know some of the questions revolved around fire protection. We do spend a lot of time learning about sprinkler systems and fire protection systems like that. I do think that the construction industry is advancing. They've already got sprinklers in commercial buildings, and I know your schools, it doesn't matter what village I've been to, every village I've been to, and I've been to small, big, medium, all different sizes, all their schools have sprinklers. So we're there. The next step, I think, and I think we're going to see this in the future, is residential sprinklers, because there's not a lot of people who die in fires when there's sprinklers. There was a big change in the 70s with smoke alarms. Smoke alarms aren't actually that old. In the 70s, a lot of people were dying in fires, and one of the reasons is because they were sleeping when the fire happened, and then the smoke filled the house, and the smoke was what was toxic, and they died in their sleep from the smoke, and then the fire came. So they found out that if you had smoke alarms, it would wake the people up and they could get out of the house. So though we still have people dying in houses from fire on occasion, it's not nearly to the level that it was in the 70s. So it was wonderful to see that on a history lesson about how much smoke alarms affected decrease in the number of deaths in fire. And I think that that's just going to continue, that they're going to start making more regulations as to how smoke alarms work and then putting sprinklers in, because the next step for protection over smoke alarms is going to be having sprinklers in your residential homes. So that's one change I see coming. Wildlands, I don't know enough about wildland to see much change other than just the FireWise program. I don't know, but just by a real quick raise of hands, how many of you have heard of the FireWise program? Yes, perfect. Thanks, Katie. Yeah, FireWise is great. That's the first step anybody can do for their house, their home, their neighborhood, is to really protect your neighborhood from wildland, is to create a defensible space around your house or your buildings that doesn't have the brush or the trees or that. And it's right now they're saying it's 100 feet. If you can keep 100 feet away from your house, keep the brush, keep the dry stuff away from your house, then there's a pretty good chance that the fire will go around that area. And I did see this down in Wasilla. There was a big fire probably 5 years ago that ripped through there, and it was just devastating. And the houses that didn't get burned were the ones that practiced good FireWise, and they had protected or kept the brush away from their house. And then there was the wildland firefighters who were also there protecting those houses with sprinklers. So that's the first big step, is following the FireWise stuff.
Cool. We had an elder come to our teacher workshop this summer who talked a lot about the whole firefighting industry treating the firefighter safety as more important now than in the past. They would throw them out there with maybe some blue jeans on and have them fight fire, and now they give them a full life-saving kit to take with them. And have you guys seen the same in structure fires work? Is the care for you, Olivia? And maybe you're not old enough. We might have to dish this to David. Maybe, yeah. Do you feel like your safety is important too? And has that changed? Yeah.
I know my career in the fire service has not been very long, but historically they did used to run into structure fires with just long leather jackets, and that's the history behind the firefighter mustache. Is it was actually to try to keep the snot that came out of their nose from the smoke running down their face. So I think now there's been a lot of smart people who have come up with new things, and now we go into a fire with our masks and our SCBAs and bunker gear that protect us from the heat and some of the exposures.
Ooh, never thought about that mustache being protection. That's so cool, Olivia. It looks like we got some questions from Bethel. I'm suspecting that Emily's taking care of her baby right now. It looks like two questions. Did you ever see or have calls for coal seam fires in Healy or down around Old Wishbone Hill Mine, Sutton? You ever heard of coal seam fires?
I have actually heard of the coal seam fires. I have not responded to one myself, but locally we have 3 power plants that are coal-powered power plants, and that's an annual fire. There's typically a fire in the power plants because they're aging. They're getting the coal buildup, and so I have personally been to the Fairbanks power plant once a year at least, and then our own power plant when it was the old power plant. We got a new one that's working really good, but the old one that was probably 10 years ago, coal fire, and those are pretty tough to fight and very messy and cancerous and like all the protection stuff you were talking.
Paul, you got any live questions? I see some people taking notes in your room.
I do see
Thank you. Really interesting. Appreciate that. Yeah, that kind of surprised us, honestly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we were just studying coal, and so yeah, the question came up. All right.
So coal is clean burning now. They've got the systems in place to scrub it as it goes through the smokestack. The problem is where it gets loaded, that dust gets into every nook and cranny, and it just, once it gets a spark, it's very hard to get into those areas and get to the fires.
Olivia, you were going to say something too.
Yeah, there was a question. So is there dispatching or logistics options if you don't want to run into fire? Absolutely, there is. Every fire department needs an office manager. University Fire Department, we have a great office manager. She helps us with pretty much any office problem that we have. I needed a bunch of papers printed out actually before this meeting, and she made it happen super fast. And pretty much any problem we have, we go to her first, and she usually knows who to go to. And she actually used to be a volunteer firefighter. So if you don't want to run into fire directly, but you still want to kind of be around the family aspect of the firehouse, I think that would be a great option. And also dispatching. University Police Department actually has their own dispatch center, and we share the building with them. So you could definitely come to the University Fire Department and go work in dispatching and help us on all of our campus fire alarms. They help us get those reset and squared away.
What do you think are the most important skills if like somebody were applying for a dispatch job? What would be some of the skills to work on as a high schooler?
I'll let you go, Olivia, if you want.
I think some of the ones, if you could take some computer classes, dispatching is a lot of computer work nowadays. Also, probably just trying to talk to some dispatchers. I have never been a dispatcher, so I would be a bad person to talk to about kind of, because they deal with the whole other side of it. They have to listen to the person having their emergency firsthand. They get the first glimpse of it before we're even sent. So yeah, do you have anything else to add, Cap?
I think multitasking, and I think this generation that's in high school now is 10 times better at multitasking than my generation. The way they can watch a movie, type on their phones, and then play a video game all in the same moment. That's what a dispatcher does, not the playing games part, but they are listening to the phone, typing in notes that get sent to us, and then talking to us on the radio all simultaneously. That's impressive, so impressive, and it's such a critical skill for them to be able to do that. If anybody has those skills or want to develop those skills, kudos. We need more dispatchers for sure. Fairbanks is critically short dispatchers as we speak. That's both for the fire and the police. And it's a pretty good paying job too. I saw a message in there about your Dragon Slayers program. That was a high school program. Yes, that's something that has changed since the early 2000s. And with that goes the volunteer idea. We have 7 fire departments in the borough, and 5 of them are volunteer fire departments. And back in the early 2000s, late 90s, they didn't have any problem with volunteers. They would have 80 or 90 people who volunteered. And when there was a fire, they would get quite a few people showing up. Well, there's just been a change. People are not volunteering as much as they used to. And there's been some regulatory things too, like if you are a volunteer firefighter, because we were protecting them, they must go to so many hours of training a year, which is sometimes hard for a volunteer, especially if they have a full-time job. If you're working 40 hours a week and then the fire department asks you as a volunteer to come do another 40 hours of training, that's pretty difficult. And that 40 hours of training is necessary so that we make sure we're protecting firefighters. So that got hard, and now those volunteer departments, they struggle to get enough people to respond and be on the volunteer roles to respond to big emergencies. So more and more volunteer departments are switching to a paid or a combination department, and that goes the same with those high school programs. We also had a high school program up here that was the Firehawks, and in the last 5 years, it's just could not get enough interest from students to participate in it. And so I would love to see another program like that. There are areas like Western Washington. They have a fight program. I think, Olivia, you were part of the fight, or were you the cadets?
I was a cadet.
So you could probably talk about that program and how wonderful that is. I've loved the product that have come out of Western Washington in that respect.
Yeah, they have some programs. So Fight is what Captain Mattox was talking about, and that is a kind of like a vocational high school class. They go and they learn some basic firefighting skills and get used to being in bunker gear and being on air. When you add all of that weight on top of yourself and then try to get down on the ground and crawl around and like drag somebody, it's very different than just doing it in normal clothes. So that class is awesome. And then I was a Zone 3 fire cadet, which is kind of a branch off of the fight class, and we would meet every week and kind of do the same thing, go over basic firefighting skills, just nice introductions into the career. And that's actually how I learned about the University Fire Department, is one of my advisors. He is now a battalion chief for Seattle Fire Department, and he was a student at the University Fire Department.
Cool. Okay, we're gonna do one more call for any questions from the classrooms. Oh, great. Great. I'm getting a call from Anchorage right now. Yeah, any Shishmaref questions or any from Shagaluk or Ed?
I did have a question. The university having its own fire department, do you have any fire safety education plans for students, employees, to, I guess, ensure you have commercial areas, residential areas, that NFPA, excuse me, NFPA compliance is being met, and educating students and workers and so on?
Yes, we didn't mention another field that you can get into in the fire service if you don't want to go into fires, but you love the idea of fire and you love the idea of the science behind it. And this is big time science, is our fire marshal. Our fire marshal is the one who does code enforcement. So like you said, all the NFPA, which is what the firefighters use to regulate what we wear, what we do, and all that stuff to be safe. And then there's also the building codes, as I talked about, sprinklers and how far you do the FireWise program. So when it comes to academic buildings, he's got a whole list, books and books and books of regulations for how to keep the buildings, academic buildings safe, the commercial buildings safe. And he has a pretty good program where he goes to different college departments and does training to make sure everybody is fire safe. And that's a great field. If you wanted to be a fire marshal or fire investigator, those are the folks who get to go in after the fire is out and try to figure out what caused the fire. Was it a Christmas tree too close to the wood burning stove? Was it one of those hover bikes overheated and caught on fire? And it's a pretty extensive program or extensive job to really go in after the fire is out and everything's destroyed, to go figure out what wire it was that caused the fire. I'm always impressed when I watch our fire marshal come through and inspect the fire scenes. And there's a whole career field for that. Our department currently has a fire marshal and assistant fire marshal, with the opportunity, they're trying to find a student to hire to be one of their technicians to help them out as well. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, it's a great field. But as far as the college and their fire safety, yes, if you are part of the college and you didn't get a fire safety brief and you're looking for something for your department, you can always email me and I'll link you up with our fire marshal. He would love to do that kind of training. Our fire department is part of the university. We do the campus, of course, obviously, but we also have a fire station that's on the south part of the city. And so City of Fairbanks Fire Department gets the city center, and then our department covers the west side and now the whole south side. So Most of our calls are actually not on campus. We have a pretty safe campus now. The fire marshals updated all of our sprinklers and our standpipes and all the fire protection stuff. So we don't even get that many calls for fire alarms like we used to. We used to get lots of popcorn burning in the microwave calls. We don't get a lot of those anymore because he's done such a great job. Most of our calls come from the city part.
Your students have saved my life once, David. Like, not joking. And in the ambulance ride, they said, "Dr. Spellman, I almost took one of your classes." And I was like, "What? Thanks." So cool. Your students are great. Thanks for sharing this. Emily's gonna close us out here.
Let me make one more comment on in respect to that. For all of you in whatever area you're living in, if you find yourself passing through Fairbanks and you just want to come say hi, the fire department's open 7 days a week, and we love to bring visitors in and give them tours of our station and our equipment. And if you'd like to do a ride along with us, be great. Just give me a heads up. You got my email address and phone number. And that goes for you as well, Ms. Spellman, if you'd like to come by and go on a ride along with us. Not on the inside of the ambulance.
Oh, that would be so much better than my last time riding with you guys.
Well, we would love to take you.
All right. I'm going to rapid fire one more question at you in the chat, which is, would you ever consider hosting a Zoom class for high school age kids for a beginning firefighter class for credit? Is that possible?
You're saying, would we create a class that would give credit for high school students? Yes. I might have to find somebody who has a little more time than I do to actually run the whole class, but it's definitely possible, and I would be willing to talk about it for sure. So if you are interested in that, let me know, and we can see if that's possible.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to say thanks one more time for to David and Olivia for being here, and then also to all of our students joining from Bethel and Shishmaref, and Tok emailed and they couldn't make it after all, but this is recorded. So if you want to circle back to anything that you learned here today, if you have follow-up questions, it sounds like David and Olivia, it sounds like you're available for follow-up questions, and we can share your email with the teachers here. Awesome. So if you do have anything else, shoot us an email. We can get you in touch with people who know. So just thank you again for being here. And yeah, I think with that, we'll go ahead and say goodbye.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank
Be safe,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.